Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within Special Operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health, intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
For your post assignment, all units for
All right. This ain't just a show. This is a platform. Veteran built, battle tested. Welcome to the MisFitNation. Yeah! In a room, built from boots on the ground, now we breaking the rules. 2 vets, 1 leader, painting the sound, turn scars into sermons, let them echo around. Artists with truth, musicians with fire, actors backstage chasing something higher. Entrepreneurs bleeding just to get ahead. If you fought for your dream, yeah, you are what you said. If they told you no, if you still came back, if you fell to your knees but you stayed on track, this is your voice, this is your flame. Say it loud, remember the name. No salvation, just elevation. We rise again. From the fight, to the end. We are the MisFitNation. No damn labels, no damn cages. If you're still breathing, you belong. Turn it up, this is our song. Yeah, this is our song. Yeah. Veterans standing with ghosts in the chest. First responders running in while the world second guess. Gold star names carved deep in the soul. Your story ain't over, we carry the whole. Coaches teaching mindset, breaking the chains, turning barely alive into owning the pain. Truth over polish, scars on display. If it's real, let it bleed, that's the MisFit play. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels cold. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels cold. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels cold. It's Aubrey right now, we're the more than you know. 9888, don't walk alone. Veterans press 1, bring it home. Don't trade forever for tonight. You're still needed in this fight. We are the MisFitNation, built from scars and dedication. We rise again. From the
right. Welcome back to the MisFitNation, your Thursday after dinner show. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. You don't have many other places to go tonight. There's no football. There might be some basketball, but it's winter. That's why we look forward to football. Playoffs this weekend. Pick your team. Pick them now. If your team's out, don't jump on a bandwagon and start bragging about them tomorrow. But we're here tonight. We have a great guest tonight. Before we get started, we do want to remember an officer lost. Deputy Sheriff Tim Jordan, the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office, Louisiana, and the watch Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. He was in a horrific accident, hit by a train, actually. So let's keep his family, his friends, his peers, his community in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this sudden change in life. It's not something they want to happen. It's something they know can happen. And as you know, sudden change isn't great for everyone. So just keep them in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this tough time. But tonight, like I said, we have a great one. We are honored to welcome U.S. Army veteran Cait Conley, a West Point graduate, Bronze Star recipient, and lifelong public servant. From 6 combat deployments, hunting the world's most dangerous terrorists, to protecting our democracy at the White House and CISA. She has answered the call to serve time and time again. Now she's stepping forward once more, running for Congress to continue serving her community and her country. So without further ado, let's welcome U.S. Army veteran Cait Conley to the MisFitNation. Welcome, Cait.
Rich, thanks for having me. And I have to say, that warm-up, that music got me going. I was ready to put the kid on and take the hill. I was like, let's roll. Who's driving?
We just added that in the last week, so grateful. Everyone likes it so far, so this is awesome. Thank you.
Oh, man, it was a blast. And it does give you throwbacks, right, to getting ready to head out of the wire and getting the team ready and getting your mindset right. So, but I also really appreciate the shout out you give to first responders and law enforcement professionals who are putting it out on the line every day here across the country. And so huge shout out to those folks tuning in from that tribe and our brothers and sisters out there.
Outstanding. Definitely. And you can't forget them. And for us, we can get to go home after war. They go home every day, but they get to meet people on their worst days every day. Every time they meet someone that's on their worst days. So it's not something that just erases from their head. They can't just compartmentalize that like we could. Go home and then shower and come back and do it again. They're in that same stuff every day. So I always think about them. And a lot of them are us because they're veterans that are out there that went to that side of the fence and just keep serving. So it's awesome to have them in our family as well.
Absolutely.
So Cait, I gave the basically less than an elevator pitch on you there. If you don't mind, tell us a little more about you without the trench story. To how
the backstage. Yeah, boot camp memories. So, you know, I come from a blue collar family. You know, we go back 4 generations out in the Hudson Valley, old Irish immigrants that came in and really just went to work helping build that part of New York State. And for folks who don't know the Hudson Valley and we're on that right now, we're about an hour or so north of New York City, but then go like another hour and a half further past that. And I love it. It's beautiful. You know, the way they describe our district is the district of heroes, where over 50% of households are either veterans, the family of veterans, first responders, or the family of first responders. And so I grew up, again, blue collar family, single mom, raising 3 girls, working for the U.S. Postal Service, 48 years, and she's still going. You don't quit in this family. You just go. And it was for me, you know, as a junior in high school in the Hudson Valley when 9/11 happened. And this part of the Hudson Valley, you got folks who work in the city in finance and other roles, but you also have a lot of New York City firefighters and cops. And so this is an area of the country that got hit really hard on 9/11. And that was my first call to serve. So I went home that night and told my mom, I'm like, you raised me to work hard and to stand up and do what's right. And you said to always have the courage to stand up and fight, and you'd have my back. And so I was like, well, there's a fight. We didn't start it. We sure as hell need to finish it. And so I want to go to West Point and make sure I'm out there. And I have to tell you, Rich, you know, when folks start to lose faith in this country and what's happening, I often encourage them to go to West Point and visit and just watch And there you'll see men and women from all 50 states and territories, from families that represent the entire economic spectrum, right? Some of our nation's most wealthy families, some of our nation's poorest.
Yep.
They're in uniform to do one thing, to serve our country and to lay it all out there and to lead America's sons and daughters in defense of this nation out of love. And so that was what started my military career. I went off after West Point to serve 16 years as an active duty Army officer. I started off as a military police officer, so we can talk first responders and more of that later. And, when we weren't downrange, I was back home as a military police duty officer, right? With my soldiers out there providing law enforcement and first responder support on installations. And then was recruited and went over to the special operations community and spent over a decade there. So when we talk about hunting down the group's worst or the world's worst terror groups, we're not playing. A lot of folks out there know exactly what we mean and where we went. And so my last 2 years in uniform, as you highlighted, I was back home. I was actually at the White House as the Director of Counterterrorism on the National Security Council staff, still as an Army officer, and then was asked to stay on to help lead a Homeland Security mission as a senior executive, helping secure our nation's critical infrastructure. And Rich, that is everything. People often ask me, like, what's critical infrastructure? I'm like, well, technically there are 16 sectors, blah, blah, blah. But think of it this way. It is everything from the water you drink to the electricity powering our lives, to the telecommunications infrastructure that we use, right, to connect to our roads, our nuclear plants, our trains, our government facilities. It's all of the stuff that makes our country turn. And so, finish that up, and can't say this was ever the plan. Who doesn't love a good fight,
Right. And you're right. The Hudson Valley is a beautiful area. Small story from us. I came home on mid-tour leave from Korea, and we made our daughter at that time. My wife was living in New Jersey, so her gynecologist was at West Point. So she drove up to West Point for her gynecology appointment. So that's when my wife had her first appointments in real appointments in the Army, where it was at West Point. So she got to see some of that. And now just recently I've been covering West Point football for the show and getting to go see the Army Navy game last year, sitting in the front row. And that's just amazing. If you haven't done that, anyone out there, go to that game. You want to see people who put it on the line, not just in that game, but right after the game, the seniors are getting ready to go really put it on the line right after that. And they sign that blank check from the day they start. It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it's beautiful. There's that saying that's on the walls of West Point. It's like, on these fields of friendly strife are sown the seeds that on other days, on other fields, will bear the fruits of victory. It talks about pushing each other in competition, but at the end of the day, we're all sisters and brothers in the same fight, and we give everything for one another.
Definitely. And like you said, we were talking about earlier about ribbing, like the Space Force show, the ribbing between the banter. It's even between the corps within the Army. Everyone gives that banter, and then the Army will tag up on the Marines, of course. That's always the fun time. And then Uber from the Marines, the Navy. But when it comes time, we all fight together and win together for our nation and do what's best for everyone around us. And that's how our nation needs to grow, learning that we are one big team that needs to come together as a community, a tribe of tribes, shall I say, and win that fight.
Couldn't agree more, man. I mean, I hope that people can remember that we're Americans first.
Yes.
And if we all remember that, if we remember that we are neighbors and community members and Americans first, we'd be in such a different place right now. And I think this is part of that fight to bring it back, because exactly to your point, when we're out there in uniform, no one gave a shit if you were this or that. Like, it didn't matter. What mattered was you were there for one another, and you all wore the same uniform and all swore the same oath, right? And I think this country, we have so much to offer, and there's such an incredible history that got us here, and just remembering what our roots are and staying focused on that. And I'm with you. I think we just need to heal.
Definitely. And I think just go out and have a cup of coffee. You may not be on the same wave, same mindset as your neighbor, but you're probably thinking about the same thing. How do we clean up our neighborhood?
Yeah.
How do we make our neighborhood better? Sit down and have a coffee. You'll be surprised that you'll talk to each other and say the same things, just in different words.
And Rich, we focus on so much what divides us, right? Like how we're different than our neighbor. And we forget that we share so much. There is far more in common than there is that is different, when it comes to our values and what we care about.
Exactly. Well, like you said earlier, we need to get back to that and hit that home run maybe, and maybe the lights will come on again and say, hey, we're all Americans, and we can have that cup of coffee. We can disagree on stuff. That's natural. Humans disagree, but don't make it a schoolyard fight. Have a little verbal debate with each other, talk to each other, and come up with that solution to make it better. That's the only way we need to do things. I'll
Couldn't
get off
agree
my
more.
soapbox. Sorry.
No, I couldn't agree more. I'm like nodding. I want to be like, yeah.
That was when you're talking about your mom in 48 years, does she still deliver the mail, or is she like the postmaster or something?
She's a postmaster now, but she did it all from window clerk, and even as a postmaster, right? Like if you don't have a carrier that day,
Gotta go.
I tell the story because you don't always appreciate it as a kid how important your parents are in shaping who you become. And I talk about how my mom was my first example of public service leadership and commitment to community and responsibility. I still remember on Christmas, we'd be allowed to open a couple gifts, and then we got dressed and got in the car. And she would drive to one of the local mail plants and link up with some of her colleagues. And we'd pick up the packages that hadn't made it to our post office yet and hadn't been delivered. And we'd go out and we would deliver packages on Christmas Day. Wow. And I was like, Mom, why are we doing this? Like the post office is closed. I don't understand. And she'd look at me and say, because this is our responsibility. And you never know if this package is the only package a family is ever going to get. Right?
That's that sense of service, servant leadership that has bled into you, obviously, and the sense of duty. My God, to take it. It was all three of you, and wow, that's a lot. The package there and showing that her dedication to her people was she treated her postal zip code as her people and made sure they were all good. That's awesome that she took care of them. Amazing.
That is America, right? Like that is the best of it. Oh yeah. Well, Richard, at some point you'll have to meet my mom, and then you won't be surprised.
She'll probably yell at me or something.
Why are you taking so long?
Exactly. Why did it take so long to get up here? Sorry, there's traffic. I can't stop the traffic. My bad. And I also seen where you went on your deployments. I mean, you went to North Africa, Iraq, Syria, Yemen. Knowing the places you've been and where you're trying to go, it's all a battle. Everywhere you go, you want to be in the fight, and that shows with what you've done and where you're going. And do you think you got that sense of battle focus from mom, or just from a combination of things?
I definitely think she provided that foundation, right? But then it was just, I think what we learned and the time in which we served, it truly was about, if you're getting into this fight, it's to make sure that you're keeping your community, your country safe. And that's not going to happen on its own. And so there is that saying in the special ops world, you run to the sound of the guns, right? It's that expectation that if there is a fight, you find it, you go there, because that's where your country needs you to be. And now that fight can take a lot of different forms, right? It can look like a lot of different things, but the responsibility doesn't change. It's to show up for your community and your country, to deliver, to not accept defeat, to not accept excuses, to find a way.
Definitely. And you have definitely found a way, and knowing that you didn't apply to even get in the academy until you were a junior. So basically September of your junior year, that light bulb comes on. You know what? I'm going to go to West Point. Most people are already preparing that like when they're in middle school. I'm going to go to West Point. I'm going to get all these signatures. I'm going to do all the right classes. How hard was that climb for you to go from that junior year to get that acceptance? Find a congressional person to sign your letter or recommend you, and then get in.
It's so funny you say that, Rich. I still remember meeting with Congressman Hinchy at the time, New York rep, was who wrote my letter of nomination to West Point. And I still remember the Service Academy panel interviews. And and talking and connecting to veterans, many of whom were on it. And it was just, everyone there knew the stakes, right? We all knew that we were signing up to fight. And even at West Point, I still think one of the most impactful experiences I had was, if folks have been there, we have the dining facility, the mess hall, where as a cadet, you eat as the core of cadets, meaning all cadets together, at least breakfast and lunch every weekday.
Wow.
And during that, it's like the way it's set up is in the middle of the dining facility, the mess hall, there's the poop deck, which is where announcements by cadets were made, by cadet leadership teams, right? Administrative notes, but also important things for the Corps to know. And that's where they would make the announcements of graduates killed in action. And you sit there and you literally heard the names of people who may have been sitting at that same table a year prior or 2 years prior. And you're just like, all right, this is as real as it gets, And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, didn't matter if you graduated the top of your class or the bottom. You're all putting it out there. And I think about those times when I think about why I'm in this fight. Yeah. And so much of this, Rich, is, the division that we're seeing in this country, some of the things that we're seeing play out. I'm watching the country that I was willing to die for, that I lost more friends than I can count fighting for, becoming something I can barely recognize. And that's not okay. They deserve better. And so that's why I'm doing this. So much is to honor their memory, and out of love and an unwavering belief that America's best days are still ahead of us. But we've got to do the work.
We have to do the work. Yes, that's a key point. We have to do the work. It can't just be those 5 people here. It has to be, we have to do that work. And you're going to be part of that we now, but leading from the front and bringing the Hudson Valley with you. And hopefully the Hudson Valley stays with you and becomes glorious again up there. I mean, it's always going to be beautiful up there unless they start overbuilding there, but hopefully not. But that power from up there should be able to push through the rest of that state and down through my home state, New Jersey, and then the rest of the country after that.
I mean, Rich, it's that point, right? Like, it's leadership and servant leadership and authenticity. That's what people resonate with.
Yes.
They don't want politicians. They want public servants. They want people who are fueled by service, not ambition, right?
And talk the talk, but also walk the walk.
Yes.
And you've already walked the walk. I mean, you've been around the world for our country. And most of them, I think, in the old days, there's probably a lot more people that served in Congress and in the Senate. Now it's probably about 50-50 split. But as we get more veterans that are now saying, hey, let me put this hat on and go lead from a different perspective, I think that's going to change a lot of how the mindset is up on Capitol Hill. And maybe more people actually go to Capitol Hill a little more instead of going home every night or every other night, instead of just staying down there and having those hard conversations with each other about the topics that we need to talk about. In the old days, they all lived in the district and they talked to each other. Of course, they'd do the political theater in front of the camera, but then they'd go home and have a beer or have coffee together because their kids played baseball together. They had to see each other. That has gone away, and we got to come back to that, I think, too.
Completely. And I think, to your point, what gives me a lot of hope and faith is the number of folks who've worn the uniform who are stepping up, not because this is the easy path. Are you kidding? My plan for 2025 was to finally make money. It's like, we never done it.
See you later.
It's like, hey, it was just like, all right, I guess this is the next chapter, maybe. And it was just coming out of 2024. It was just too hard to watch what was happening in this country. And I have to tell you, as somebody who spent the last 4 years working with members, working with committees, I saw firsthand how both sides got us into this mess. And it's going to take not politicians, but public servant leaders to get us out of it. And that's what this is about. To your point, answering the call for the people, delivering for the people. Because right now it is hard for a lot of American families. And this stuff that government should be doing is tackling the hard problems. It's literally its job. And I think it's time, Right. And it's time the government stepped up and actually did for the American people what it's supposed to be doing. Instead of, to your point, just falling back to the different sidelines and saying, oh, it's too hard. The American people are sick of it. They want government to do its job because you know what? They have to do their job. So,
and they got to get up every morning and some 2 and 3 jobs just to get their family through. And they're working hard and not really seeing their kids grow up because they're never home because they have to work those 2 and 3 jobs. And like for us, we volunteered to serve. So yeah, it was understood we'd be away. But there's people that didn't serve or did serve and now they're out and they're still having to struggle because they're working a day job and a night job and not seeing their kids grow or do the milestones that we want to see them do.
and Rich, I think you're, again, just going back to the emphasis you put on first responders too, and just the tremendous respect for law enforcement, for emergency services, emergency responders. Because a lot of these folks, I'll say in the Hudson Valley, you know, we have almost entirely a volunteer fire and ambulance corps, right? Like it is just people in the community. So don't do it for pay. They do it for one another. And it is that kind of mentality of even when you're tapped, even when you're struggling, still finding the space to give. And it is hard right now. Look, you know, you look at how hard it is for just working Americans to break into the American middle class without it saddling them with lifelong student debt. You know, I look at the average tuition rates and what we've seen over the last 20 years, where higher education, the average tuition rates have gone up 41%. That's insane. Like it should not bankrupt you to try to make it to the American middle class. Like this is the type of stuff that's broken.
By the time you get there, you're scraping. You have to scrape through, and you can't even use your degree because you got to have experience to use it. But you can't get that experience because you have to scrape by to pay those bills that you got the degree with. It's a never-ending cycle.
It's vicious. And you look at, I mean, look, in the 1970s, the average age for a first-time home buyer was 21. Now in 2026, it's 40.
Golly.
And this is what I mean. Like, take all the politics out of it and just look at where we're at as a country now. For the first time in modern American history, the economic prospects of young Americans are worse than their parents and grandparents. We just saw this summer how the recent college graduate unemployment rate exceeded the national average. Like, we've got real stuff that we need to be focused on and fighting for instead of this political nonsense.
Yes.
Like, the American people are just sick of it. Just do your job, you know?
And I mean, some of the college degrees that people are getting won't find them a job, but there are degrees that I know a lot of young men and women are getting degrees that in like engineering and such, and they're still not finding jobs. And
Yep.
some of that's because the lifespans are a little longer now, so people are living longer and not leaving those cushy jobs, those nice jobs. But some of it says people won't hire that young kid anymore because they don't trust them or whatever their excuses at that time, and that just hits them harder, and then they wind up doing something they hate for X amount of years until finally someone gives them that little break. And by the time that is probably 35 years old, then they have to save a little bit of money by 40. Yeah. Get that first down payment and get a house. Wow.
And I think to your point, Rich, you know, part of where as an American society, I think we got a little out of whack and we've got to come back culturally is, and I say this as someone, neither of my parents graduated from college. Right. I am the American dream. I got to go to West Point. I got to earn higher degrees from Harvard, MIT, working the White House. Like, I am the American dream. We don't have money. I got to earn those opportunities by working my ass off. But that pathway, that American dream, feels out of reach for far too many American families. And that is unacceptable. We need to make America work for working Americans again. But I will also say, when you look at what pathways are going to get this generation of the workforce and the next to stability and success, like we've talked so much about four-year colleges, and that's great, but there are so many other pathways too. And there's so much honor in those pathways, whether it's in the services or even things like the trade skills.
Yes.
You want to make money and you want to do something that's honorable, become an electrician or a plumber. You're literally keeping your communities healthy and safe. People call you when they need help. Like, there is so much honor in that. And I think as a culture, we've kind of gotten that out of whack, right? Where we forgot that. And we need to go back to our roots and be like, no, this is incredible. And thank you. And oh, by the way, you're probably going to make more money than a lot of these white collar jobs.
Yes. And you'll be making a lot of money after usually like a 6-month internship or whatever at HVAC. You do that side by side with the company. They give you that, I guess, that apprentice level. But as soon as you're done with that apprentice level, you're the one booking your jobs with that person's backing. And you can make a lot of money as a 19, 20-year-old, where if you may not be a student. A lot of people do not like school. They don't test well. They don't have that ability to sit in class and listen to people tell them what things are, but they can fix things. And for a long time, we pushed everyone to go, hey, you're going to study business. You're going to be a teacher. You're going to do accounting because that's what everyone's doing. And they hated it. And now that's Dirty Jobs. Mike Rowe started pushing that, hey, trades are good. It's dirty, yeah. Because I mean, he showed us the worst of the worst out there in his show. But those jobs do have fulfilling ends to them. Once you get past that apprentice level, once you get into your own groove, or maybe even open your own shop, especially as a plumber, you can make a lot of money as a plumber and then franchise out and just sit back and watch it grow.
Yeah. And like the work is so important.
Yeah.
You know, families need you to be healthy and safe. You're going out there and helping small businesses, families, your community. And again, like there is honor in that work and pay. So one of the big things, yeah, and that matters. Like one of the big things that I'm pushing very, very hard for here, and is a pillar of the campaign I'm running, is investment in trade schools and the trade skills. So in New York State, we have something called BOCES, and it's an opportunity where in your high school years, junior and senior, you can do normal classes in the morning and split your time. And in the afternoons, you go off to a technical trade school, and you can learn things like becoming an electrician, becoming a plumber, to your point, HVAC servicing and certifications. You can go to beauty school, right? You can do culinary skills, all of these critical things that, to your point, you're learning how to critically think. You're learning hard skills. You're learning how to solve problems, which is what education is about, like learning those processes. But you're also getting these hard skills too that make you so incredibly marketable. And these are programs that we need to be doubling down on and expanding. Yes. Because I do believe they are the future, and we should be doing it in a way where it also encourages people to pursue the workforce of the future opportunities. So it's great that we're doing, you know, electrical trades and plumbing and HVAC and all that. I want us to also start a course in solar panel repair and installation technicians, right? How about robotic repair and advanced manufacturing, like jobs that, again, you can do great and have long, stable, secure careers and don't require a 4-year degree because you can learn those skills in other ways. But that's where we should be investing.
Yes. And pushing. And I know when I was in high school, we had something called, just like what you just talked about, it was called VOTEC. So they would go to class with us in the morning, and in the afternoon, they get on a bus and go to the VOTEC school. And they would learn all these trades. In our school alone, we had auto mechanics right in our school, and carpentry shops that right in our school. Although the auto mechanics class, the first thing I learned how to do was break into a car and hotwire it. But maybe that helps somewhere. But that was the first thing I learned in that class. The only thing I remember from that class was how to break into a car and how to hotwire it. It helps, you know, if you have to get your keys.
I learned that later on too, but for different reasons.
For different reasons. But that was from your career choice, probably.
Yeah.
And back to that, what was your top 3 wish list for your core coming out of the West Point?
So I was still during the era where, you know, women couldn't go into combat arms, the infantry or armor, and some of the others. And, you know, I didn't know that going in. I didn't come from a military family. I watched G.I. Jane and Demi Moore kick ass as a Navy SEAL, you know, in 97. I love it. And so for me, I was like, what do you mean I can't fight? Like, if I can meet it, if I can do the job, why the hell don't you want me out there? And so I joined what at the time we called the Women's Infantry, the Military Police Corps. I have to tell you, I'm super grateful I did because of the experiences I had, not just on deployments, but back home in providing law enforcement services to military communities out at Fort Lewis, Washington. But I have to tell you, it was one of those things where I really do believe war is the ultimate equalizer, because when you're out there, the enemy doesn't care if you've got XY chromosomes or not. They don't give it. They don't care. All they know is you are the enemy, right? And so with that, you know, I'm super proud of the progress we tried to lead the charge on, which was I'll tell you, as one of the women who in those days was trying to push to remove the combat exclusion bullshit, all we're saying is gender neutral standards. If I can meet them, you want the best athlete, period.
Yeah.
So let me show you I'm the best athlete, because that's what America deserves. If America deserves the best military, the best fighting force, then draw from 100% of it, not 50, you know? And
Definitely.
so I had a great time, and I'm grateful for my path. And then the special ops world is the special ops world, and no one gives a shit about anything other than, can you do your job and are you the best athlete? You know, there's a saying, selection is an ongoing process. No excuses, perform.
If I hand you this piece of paper, can you figure it out and get the job done? Yep.
Period.
That's it. And don't come back asking for help. Got it. Got you. That's it. And it's a big boy girl rules at that point. And even as an MP in 2001, 2002, when you came in, 2004 probably, MPs were frontline soldiers, and there was like half of your corps is female. So even back then, because she went to Leonard Wood, I was chemical, so I got to see the MPs and stuff in my whole career. Even had a squad of them in my platoon when I would deploy to Afghanistan. So I know what the fighting force could do and can do if you have the right people in the right place. It doesn't matter, like you said, gender neutral. If you can point and click, you can shoot back. That's all I need. If you can not shoot at me, good, perfect. And we're all coming home together. It doesn't matter which way you put your pants on in the morning. It's how you run forward. And that's what, at the end of the day, matters the most to me.
100%. You know, and I think this goes back to when you're out there, you're willing to put it all on the line for one another. And there is no greater form of love and service. And, you know, it's funny when I talk to folks about military service and folks who may not have a lot of experience with it, you know, I explain to them, like, it is the ultimate form of love, where you are willing to do it all, right, for your country and your family.
And lay it down for someone you met maybe 6 weeks ago or maybe a couple of years ago, but you just literally met them and they became your family, and you lay it all down for them. And for some people, the family in the military is actually closer than their family at home. It's something maybe they didn't have at home. So it builds that bond, and you know that you can trust that person to your right and that person to your left. And just that trust helps you succeed and helps them succeed as well.
That's it. And I think, you know, what I learned after the Army too is there's a lot of other spaces where there's these critical missions for this country that we need that same level of dedication and service in. And so that is where you see that, you know, my time at CISA, I was super proud. I led the election security mission for election infrastructure in 2024. And what that meant was working with state and local election officials to ensure the security and integrity of our elections process. And I have to tell you, these incredible public servants, like, they were all about making sure their communities had confidence that the outcome of the vote reflected the choices made. And, you know, it was really unfortunate, Rich, because going back to the toxicity that's taken root in this country, you had these incredible selfless public servants not making money, right? Like, just doing it for the job, for the mission, getting death threats. Like, I had an incident where we literally had fentanyl-laced letters mailed to election officials in numerous states across the country. And you're just like, come on. Like, there is nothing more un-American than that bullshit.
That's insanity. Yeah. And that stuff wasn't actually put out to the media, so that couldn't be spread out. But you guys knew that from your position, you were able to see and understand how much that cost to first clean it up and to stop it from actually affecting people.
I mean, it literally put their lives on the line, right? Like, it risks public servants.
Yeah. And it's probably a volunteer that would have opened it. Not the actual public servant. It would have been a volunteer in an office that would have opened that letter and killed them, like, instantly, if it's fentanyl. So that's horrible. That's just premeditated murder with no reason behind it.
And this goes back to, like, the stuff that's just happening in this country, right? And the division that we're seeing. Like, I think we have to be really clear-eyed about what's happening and remember, this isn't who we are.
Right.
You know, like, this is not what this is about. We fought so that during elections, there could be a peaceful transfer of power so that the people had a voice, and that this process, regardless of the outcome, it is the process that is sacred.
Yes.
And to attack the people who make it real, Nah,
Nuts.
nope.
Yes. Nuts, I like to call it nuts. It's crazy. And going
I
back
call it
to
a lot of things, but I feel like I've sworn a lot already tonight. So I'll
I haven't
rein
said
it.
so many bad words. I haven't had any red flags going, so I'm good. I haven't got no beeps. Going back to females that are heroic, I always think of Leanne Hester, MP, Silver
Silver
Star,
Star.
2005. And
Mhm.
even at that point, there was no females on the front line, but there she is battling her way through trenches and earning the Silver Star, not just getting the Silver Star, earning the Silver Star. And of course, made a recruiting tool after that. But she didn't want all that. She just wanted to do her job and protect her squad. And that's what it's all about. And every time I hear they can't, I think of her and I think of our team Lioness back in Ramadi, Iraq, at Fob Junction City at the time. And the first females that went out into the streets to be the liaison basically between the men and the women that were out there. And just seeing how brave they were, and then the CSTs of today, how awesome they are. And it all comes together that, yes, everyone can do the job. Should be no divide.
One team, one fight. Just if you're qualified, you're qualified. Full stop, period. And I think about the women who we've got nearly 200 women Ranger tab qualified, and it's just like, if anyone who's ever been to Ranger school, there's no one standard or the other. There is the Ranger standard. And it's just like, look,
You don't. Yeah. So.
Yep. Pass or fail, go or no go. And it's been awesome to see. But I think the most important thing here, Rich, is it makes America safer, right?
Yeah.
Like what this is all about is giving the American people the most lethal and effective fighting force in the world.
Right.
And that's it. And this is how we get there.
Definitely. And even one of the first female Rangers was an MP. Just to give that to you too. Even though
Thank you. I know.
I rag on MPs all the time because I was chemical, but you guys have a lot of firsts within you. So it's amazing to see the light and the shine and the history that comes out of our sister corps there, the Green Corps, as opposed to our Cobalt Blue. So thank you for that.
I know the Leonard Wood times. I'm with you.
Yeah. So we have a few questions from the audience. The first one is Cait short for anything, or is Cait the whole name?
Short for Caitlin. It's the old Irish spelling. And I only get called Caitlin by my grandmother when I'm in trouble. Okay. So it was actually pretty funny. On one of the units I was in, there was like 3 Caitlins and some variation. And so I was like, this is just easy. But proud of those Irish roots, baby.
All right. And this one is from Sister Star. What impact did witnessing 9/11 have on your decision to serve and your leadership philosophy? Thank you, Sister Star.
Yeah, great question. It is what first inspired me to serve, was witnessing how we have a responsibility to protect the American people and recognizing that there are groups all over this world that even today seek to do the American people harm for no other reason than we are Americans. And there is a responsibility for the American government to have the means to protect and defend this country. And so for me, it was understanding that commitment, the fact that we cannot become complacent, and we need to understand that, this is a complicated fight that's not just won with hard power. And this goes back to the importance of all tools of national security, like diplomatic power, like economic aid. One of the things we saw in Lebanon was how Hezbollah got so much traction in local communities was because where the Lebanese government failed to provide critical services, they stepped up and did it.
Yep.
Medicine, schooling, water, food. And so if we can provide people the basic survival stakes, they're able to make better decisions about their lives and have choices. Whereas when we don't, they've got to find a way to feed themselves and their family, and so how much that matters. And, I often tell folks, we've gotten a lot better at countering terrorism since 9/11. That's why we haven't had another 9/11. Exactly. But we cannot allow that to make us complacent, because as someone who has seen this threat firsthand in lots of different forms, those groups are still out there. You had the CENTCOM Commander General Kurilla coming out saying that in just 2025, just the Islamic State, there were 11 attempted attacks or plots against the United States by this group.
Wow.
And so some of this is understanding that this mission doesn't end. This is just a perpetual risk to America that we have to understand and make sure we don't let our guard down. But it is truly not just about the military tools. And this is where I try to explain to folks, I'm like, the power that USAID, that the State Department, that all of that plays into preventing terrorist recruitment is so huge.
Yes.
So huge.
And I think General Mattis said it the best when he was becoming the Secretary of Defense. They were asking questions. He said, he told them, if you don't fund the State Department, you're going to have to give me more bullets. He's a great guy, General Mattis. When he said that, I go up with USGLC every June and speak to Congress about hard power and soft power, and using the soft power approach to save my brothers and sisters, first of all, but it uses as much diplomacy as possible before sending us. Use every asset you have before sending the bullet. It's the best way to do things. And having seen it firsthand, the bad stuff that happens, same as you don't want to see it happen again. You don't want to see someone else make that phone call, write that letter. You want everyone to be able to sit back and just have that deterrent force while diplomacy takes action.
Rich, you said it perfectly. Like, this is where, I think sometimes some folks who don't have a lot of experience with folks in the military, they're surprised when it's like, look, if you've ever been to war, like if you've ever seen the effects of combat, the last thing you ever want is to see other sons and daughters do it. Right. If that's happening, we're failing. But we can't be afraid to do it when it is needed and there's no other resort.
Last resort.
Yeah. Yeah. But, going back to just broadening it too, on your first responders and law enforcement folks, I am really grateful at the SOFM, piece at the beginning of this episode, talking about suicide prevention services and other tools and support to first responders. One of the things that's blown my mind is we've gotten so much better at supporting our veteran community, as a nation, and it's incredible and it's beautiful. One of the communities I think we still aren't quite there with is our first responders who day in and day out, go and help people on the worst day of their lives. Yes. And see some really terrible stuff, and helping them have the tools to process that and still go out there and serve their communities. I think we still have a long way to go in supporting our first responder community to the level of support they deserve.
Yeah, definitely. I think Tunnel to Towers is one foundation that does help both veterans and first responders. It leans heavily towards the first responders because that's what it was made from. And then Travis Mannion Foundation kind of gives that empowerment to first responders to get out there and mentor. So it gives them a sense of purpose outside of the badge or outside of the fire suit. But other than that, I can't think of many other service foundations that actually directly go right for the first responders. So that's a definite need across the country.
Yeah. And, we've got one here in the Hudson Valley called Guardian Revival that does a really good job. But it's not scaled across the country the way we see a lot of these other groups. And I think that's an area that we should all take up the mantle on and be there for the people in our communities that are there for us.
Exactly. Say it. They're always there for us. We should be there for them. Like when they have their boot drives, throw $1 in there, help them out, and do what you do, especially in volunteer areas like you are. They do that for a reason. It's not just to fill their boot with money. It's to get those supplies, get those schools, get the things they need to be better at their jobs. So think about that when you drive by them and laugh at them to try to help them out.
Thank them and then ask them how you can help.
Exactly. The next question is from Fred Sim Joe. I think you answered this just now, but how did your combat deployment shape the way you approach national security today?
One of the interesting things, Fred, that I learned from being literally the person at the tip of the spear in the trenches, and that experience to then going to the White House at the end of it and being the person that was helping create the opportunities for and approvals for folks to go out there and continue to make the American people safe. It is really easy to be the person to write the strategy on paper, but that doesn't matter until the people on the ground can take those words and make them a reality. Like the true evaluation, the true measure of if a strategy is successful or not is not the words, but the ability to translate those words into impact, into effect, right? And the importance of having people who've had to do that, the doers, as part of that process in shaping what that policy is. And so for me, I think that's been a huge part of this, is the importance of having folks who've been out there doing things. Also part of the process that's going to craft the guidance and strategy and direction that others in that next generation are going to take and have to be responsible for implementing.
Definitely, 100%. I think that answered that question. I think you already had answered the question anyway, but that, I guess, solidified it. Would be a good word for it.
Another layer.
Yeah,
you know?
Too, yes.
Yeah.
And here is from Electric Rules You. What lessons from the military translate most directly into effective leadership in Congress? Great question.
So, you know, it's funny because people ask me like, oh my God, running for Congress has got to be so different than anything you've ever done. I'm like, not really. You know, as a leader, your job is to figure out what are the friction points for your soldiers that are getting in their way of accomplishing the mission, right? Like your job as a leader is to tackle the friction, to jump on that grenade, to take those problems and get them out of their way so that your soldiers can achieve the mission and be successful. And I will tell you, I believe that a purposeful and effective member of Congress, it's the same mission. Yep. Your constituents, right? They're out there. Their mission is to take care of their families, to lead successful and happy lives. And your job as a member of Congress is to find those friction points, right? The things that are getting in their way of doing that, of achieving their family's mission, and tackle them, remove them, fix them, give them that path. And so in that sense, it's like leadership is leadership. You're supposed to go out there and tackle the hard, deliver results, and allow people to accomplish their mission. And so that's how I look at this.
I think the only difference for you is probably the naysayers that come at you as you're on the campaign. You get a lot of swords arrows getting shot at you from people that really don't know what they're doing. They're just getting paid to shoot arrows at you, really. And dealing with that stuff, dealing with the negativity all day long, and then trying to keep that straight face is probably the hardest part for you.
Yeah, and so it's funny. So in my military career, let's just say I did things beyond counterterrorism and some of our strategic adversaries. And so I'm also on the Russia 500 banned list. It's alphabetical, so I'm right after Stephen Colbert. So I've also become the target of lots of Russian trolls. Wow. And you know, it's hard. So I think it's fascinating because on social media these days, you know, it's hard to know what profiles are actually who they claim to be. Yep. And I will tell you, the work I did at CISA, I mean, some of the most politically divisive social media accounts that you would think with their names, it's like proud American, like stuff like that. You're like, oh, they're an American. They were Russian. And, you know, it's important that the American people remember that our foreign adversaries are skilled and talented. And I don't care if it's Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, they're all sharing one objective. And that is to stoke partisan discord in our country, because they know an America divided is an America that could fail.
And that's exactly what they want. 100% want to get rid of us, because if they show we can fail, it'll show them that they can destroy every other country around just by using the same thing, information warfare, info war. And that's what they've done since forever now, since the advent of the internet, basically, and social media. Really, the social media craze that started with Facebook, I guess, or MySpace first, and then Facebook. People don't know who they're talking to, but they think they can share their world with them, and then all of a sudden there's 17 of you because they've cloned you to make your friends click on links with you, and everything is getting destroyed. Be safe out there, people.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you said it, like there is literally information warfare operations happening every day in social media that we just don't even recognize, but they're happening, right? And it goes back to, look, united we stand, divided we fall. These groups are just focused on trying to make us fall. They actually don't care about one side or the other. Like they just want to create sides and stoke those sides. And just look at some of the recent news articles. Like there was another mass exposure of Russian-linked social media accounts.
Yeah.
And they were literally some of the most active political social media accounts out there. It's just gross.
It's nuts. And you think 10 years ago it wasn't as bad, but it was starting. They started planting those seeds, and people started doing those following, and those fake accounts, fake American accounts, who were sleeper cells basically, just grew in numbers because millions of people would follow their voices, follow their fake names, and now they're just a cult basically, telling them what to do and puppeteering them around, doing whatever they want.
I know this. Yeah, I could talk about this for a long time.
That's a whole other show.
It is really screwed up, the tactics that we're seeing Russia use. And I'll tell you, just on the election security front in 2024, I mean, look, the things that we saw in the lead up to Election Day, we saw Russia literally create first-person videos with people that look like Americans, and they picked some of the most socially divisive issues and made those videos about them to deliberately try to stoke violence and discord around Election Day. It is, we just got to be aware as a society that just like we talk about counterterrorism is a persistent threat we can't take our eye off the ball on.
Right.
Like attacks against our democracy and us as a society are also persistent threats.
Definitely. And like I said, be careful out there. Everybody, know who you're talking to. If you don't know them, don't like them, don't follow them, and wait for reality. Wait to meet them on the street and say hello. And if they can't say hello or know who the vice president was 10 years ago, they're not from here. So good luck. I'll take one last question from the audience, and this one's a pretty good one. This is from Vertical Rules. What message do you want young people, especially young women, considering service to hear? Thank you, Vertical Rules.
It was the absolute privilege of my lifetime to wear the uniform and lead America's sons and daughters. And for the women that are out there and the men, like understand that bond, that sense of service and honor, it is something that is so special and you will be so proud of. And, you know, as much as there's a lot of noise and stuff, like understand the purity of what that service is. You are there for this country. You serve the Constitution, not a president, not a political party. You serve the Constitution. During my career, I served under multiple presidents on both sides. It didn't matter. What mattered was the red, white, and blue. And so in that sense, please don't let what's happening discourage you from being a proud patriot who puts on the uniform. And just go out there and remember that. Be the best soldier you can be. You know, push yourself. Be there for your soldiers. Deliver. Don't be afraid to do the hard. You're there for the hard. And I promise you, coming out of that, it will be such an incredible honor. And the people that you meet along the way, that'll be the family you choose.
Definitely. And you'll have laughs, you'll have some tears, and you'll learn a lot of different words you didn't know when you were growing up. You learn a whole new language, but you'll have a great time. Cait knows.
I do.
So my last two questions for you, Cait, are: first, if someone in the audience who either has a show or just wants to talk to you, wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Please check out my website. It's caitconley.com. And we've got an info@CaitConley as our email outreach. Like, hit me up. You know, we got a big fight ahead for this next chapter of service. And so obviously love all the support and love, but please check out the website and reach out to us.
And the website is going across the bottom for those of you watching.
That was impressive. Yeah, it's just caitconley.com. It's good.
See, pretty good. It's going right across the bottom for you on YouTube, and it'll be in the show notes on the audio version, which comes out next week. And the last question, Cait, this one's a three-parter. It's usually a softball question, I like to say, but what's 3 things the Misfit Nation can start doing tomorrow to be better people?
Remember that we're Americans first. And that's what really matters. Make time to connect with people, your neighbors, your family, but like connect with people because there's so much power there. And then just don't forget that, look, this nation for 250 years, we had really hard times. We went through some dark hours, But what made America great and what will continue to make us great as a nation is the fact in those hard times, ordinary people chose to live with courage and fight to make America just a better place. So don't ever forget or underestimate the role you can play in shaping this country's future and who we are. That's up to us. This is our watch.
Outstanding. Cait, thank you for hanging out tonight and just being the great leader you are. And we'll be here in the background cheering for you from beyond because we can't vote for you, obviously, since we're all in different states. But we'll cheer you on because you are going to be a servant leader. And even if you don't get the nomination, you don't get the nod, I'm sure you'll still be out there pushing and leading and doing the things that you know are right to help the Hudson Valley. So thank you for being here tonight.
Rich, thanks for having me. And thank you all who tuned in.
This was an outstanding conversation tonight, Misfit Nation. Don't forget, if you are seeing that darkness, if you're feeling that darkness, don't let that weight become so bad that you make a permanent decision to stop things to a temporary problem. Tomorrow is 100% better with you in it, and we want you there. Dial 988. Take option 1 if you're a veteran. If you're not a veteran, just follow the prompts and get the answers you need. If you're afraid to do that, call your inner circle, the 3 names that are on that little card in your wallet. Call them. Maybe they need to hear from you too. It'll help them. If that don't work, just contact us. info@themisfitnation.com, jake@themisfitnation.com, or steven@themisfitnation.com. We will keep you on the line until someone local to you can come and help you and get you the help you actually need, and so we can talk to you tomorrow. Until next time, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.